my name is Hailey, and today we are going to be doing a book haul. Yes, you heard me right, we are doing a book haul, not an unhaul this time. I have done so many unhauls on my channel recently, it is ridiculous. But it felt really good to finally clean out my shelves and get rid of some of the clutter that had been there for years, but now I have made way for some new stuff. This video is sponsored by Chapters Indigo, which is the bookstore that I work at, but also my favorite place to shop for books. So I will leave the link so you can go and check out the website down below, or you can go to a store near you. So I do have a ton of titles to show you guys, so I don't want to waste any time. Let's just dive right into it. First is Save the Date by Morgan Matson. So all the first editions of this are signed, so I have a signed copy here, which is so exciting. And Morgan Matson is one of my favorite contemporary authors. This wasn't my favorite of hers, but I did still really enjoy it. So obviously I have read this already. I read it as part of the Fiction Faction book club, which I joined for the summer. We did a live show on it. I will link that down below for you guys if you wanted to go and check it out. But this book is all about family and familial relationships, which I loved because I love everything that has to do with family, especially reading about those relationships I think is really important in YA. But it follows Charlie on the weekend of her oldest sister's wedding when all of her siblings, and there are many of them, come back and it's just chaos. She's expecting it to be this magical experience, but she soon realizes that basically every single little thing that can go wrong is going to go wrong. That was really my main complaint with this novel, was that I found it a very difficult read because there were so many things happening and it just kind of had me like wanting to tear my hair out, but at the same time it was a departure from Morgan Matson's usual stories, and that was really interesting to read. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, so I did still enjoy it, and I think it's definitely a good read. It just, by Morgan Matson standards and the other novels that I like of hers, it is one of my least favorite. Next is Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. I actually don't know what this book is about because I haven't read the rest of the Remnant Chronicles, and because I haven't finished that series, I don't think I can read this one yet because it is set in that world, and I don't want to read the synopsis just in case it's going to spoil me. I read the first book, Kiss of Deception, and really enjoyed it, and then I read the second book, but I forget what happened in it, so I can't read the third one because I don't know anything about it anymore. This is a major struggle for me because I always forget what happens in books, but I definitely am anxious to pick this one up and see what it's about because I loved that world. I really enjoy Mary E. Pearson's writing, so hopefully I will be able to get to this one soon, but who really knows. Next is Legendary by Stephanie Garber. I started listening to the audiobook for this one before I went to BEA, but then I couldn't finish it because I had to pick up something else. I don't really remember what happened, but this is the highly anticipated sequel to Caraval, and it is really good so far. I started listening to the audiobook again, but once again I've had to put it down, so who knows when I'm going to be able to get to this one. But I am so anxious to find out what is next for this world and the characters, and I just can't wait to really delve into it. Next is Catwoman Soul Stealer by Sarah J. Maas. This is the most recent release in this haul, and it is definitely a book that I am very much looking forward to reading. It is the next installment in the DC Icon series, which now that I think about it, I don't know if they are related to each other because all I've read is Wonder Woman, because Superman didn't really, no, not Superman, Batman didn't really interest me. So I had only planned on reading Wonder Woman and Catwoman, but I'm going to have to find out if Batman is important, and if not, I'm just going to move on to this one. But I think this will be a really interesting read because it's a departure from the normal for Sarah J. Maas. I'm intrigued to see how that's going to go because much like Leigh Bardugo, she never writes anything in like an urban setting, and this I'm imagining would be more of an urban fantasy. So I am intrigued, needless to say, and I also don't know anything about Catwoman. I haven't seen any of the movies. I don't think I've seen her in any other movies or anything. I like superheroes, but I've just never really gotten into that world. I don't really like graphic novels or comic books, so it's all a mystery to me, so I'm interested to see how this is going to be for someone who doesn't know a lot about the character. Wonder Woman I didn't know a ton about, but I had just seen the movie, so I at least knew a little bit, but Catwoman I'm going in with completely fresh eyes, so who knows how this will go. And the final new release is A Reaper at the Gates by Saba Tahir. This is kind of like Dance of Thieves because this is something that I can't read yet because I don't remember anything that happened in A Torch Against the Night. This is the third installment in the An Ember in the Ashes series, and I read An Ember in the Ashes when it it first came out, really enjoyed it. I read A Torch Against the Night. I think I just listened to the audiobook and then it just, whew, I have no clue. It's honestly such a struggle for me because I don't remember anything. So I feel like every time a sequel comes out, I have to reread the other books because I'm like, what? Who is everyone? I have no clue what is going on. But I've heard this book is amazing and just kind of a wild ride, so I'm really excited to get into it, and I might just have to do a month of rereads so then I can finally get to some of these sequels that have been burning a hole on my TBR. Now the next few books are books that I already own, but they are books that I only owned ARCs of, so I wanted a finished copy, and apart from this one right here, I have actually already read all of them, so I'm not adding anything to my TBR. But the one that I haven't read yet is The Smoke Thieves by Sally Green. Something about this cover and everything just really intrigues me. This is by the author of Half Bad, and it seems like kind of an epic fantasy. Half Bad was a witchy story that I really liked when I read it. I only read the first one though because I didn't like it enough to want to read the sequels. But this intrigues me a lot. It's like a medieval fantasy, sort of a la Game of Thrones, I feel like, and I'm just so interested to see how it's going to go. It's quite a big book, so I think I might go the audiobook route for this one, but we'll see how I feel about it. It seems like a political sort of pawns thing, like you get that from the cover too, so interesting. Now, like I said, the next few I have actually already read, so first is Geekerella by Ashley Poston. This is a really cute contemporary retelling of Cinderella set against the backdrop of nerds and all of that stuff. It is exactly what you expect it to be, and it is super cute. This was honestly just a quick, fun, feel-good read, and I feel like it would be a good one to get you out of reading slumps because it really just goes by like that and makes you smile. Next is The Traitor's Game by Jennifer A. Nielsen. Jennifer A. Nielsen normally writes in the middle grade section, and this is her first venture into YA. I didn't love this book, but I think that's just because I have read so many fantasies and so many more complex fantasies than this. But I think this would be a fantastic book if you are looking to just get into fantasy, or if you're looking to make that transition from middle grade into YA. It does feature some complex ideas and a really interesting world and characters, but it's rolled out slowly, so it's really easy in terms of reader comprehension. It also has a beautiful cover, which is a plus, but definitely check this out if you are new to fantasy and just want to give it a go. Next is Always Never Yours by Emily Wibberley and Austin Seachman Broca. This is a book that I wasn't expecting to enjoy as much as I did, but I just thought it was so cute. It is a romance set against the backdrop of Romeo and Juliet, and there are so many Shakespearean references. It's just a nerdy dream, but it's also not just a nerdy story. I think it's really accessible and it deals with some interesting topics, and I really enjoyed the characters, so I think this has kind of made its way into my list of favorite contemporaries. This is also actually a recent release, so I could have included it at the beginning, but here we are. Next is When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon. I totally thought that I had gotten a finished copy of this, but I guess I never did. But now I do have one, so all is well. This is once again an adorable romancy story because apparently that's all I kind of picked up for these that I had arcs of. But it is all about two characters who are in an arranged marriage and then they end up meeting a bit sooner than anyone is really expecting at this camp for engineers and computer engineering specifically. It's really fun. It features fun and spunky characters, and I highly recommend checking it out. Next is Your Welcome Universe by Whitney Gardner. This features a deaf main character who has been going to a school where everyone is like her. They are hard of hearing or deaf. But she ends up getting herself expelled from that school and has to go to just a mainstream school, which is really difficult for her because she's used to everyone being able to understand and communicate with her. But now she's feeling kind of like a fish out of water, and she's really rebelling and acting out. I loved learning more about deaf culture in this novel. I can't really speak to the accuracy of the representation, but from my own research, it did seem like it was very well done, and I just love the fact that this book has some little extras in it. Like, it has photos and stuff like that, drawings really, because the main character likes to express herself in art and by tagging or doing graffiti. So this book dealt with a lot of interesting topics that I had never read about before, and it did it really well, so I liked it a lot. Next is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. This is an interesting Adam Silvera novel for me because it's one that I had a similar idea of writing a story about, but I never actually did it. But then seeing it come to fruition in this book, I did enjoy it. I thought it was really well done, and I felt like if anyone was going to do it well, it would be Adam Silvera, because it's about this world where it's our world, but people are called on the day that they're going to die, and they know they're going to die that day. They don't know how or when, and they can't do anything to stop it, but they can go on this app where they can find their last friend, so it's someone to spend those last moments with. I love how much he elaborated on this idea. It's nothing I would have ever thought of, so I'm glad that he's the one who wrote it. But it's a really sad, bittersweet but heartwarming story at the same time. It's just an interesting read. Now finally I have some ARCs that I received. So first is The Light Between Worlds by Laura E. Weymouth. This is a book that the idea intrigues me so much, and I love the idea, and I'm hoping I will love the book as well. It's something that I wish I had thought of, because it deals with, it seems like it deals with Narnia, but afterwards. Like what happens to those characters when they return to the real world after being away in this fantasy. I just think that sounds so cool and like the setup for a fascinating story, so I have my fingers crossed and my toes crossed that this is going to live up to those expectations. Next is Damsel by Elena K. Arnold, and this seems to be a book that is going to take the typical damsel in distress story and turn it on its head, which is something that I love. I just love things that turn typical notions that society has gotten used to on their heads, specifically putting the female in a place where the male would usually be. So I love the idea of a princess saving herself and all of that jazz. And this is set in a society where they do that all the time. There's like this damsel in distress narrative that happens consistently, and then it is finally kind of flipped around. So that's going to be really interesting to read. Next is When We Caught Fire by Anna Godberson. Anna Godberson is the author of Lux, which I read. I didn't read the rest of the series, but I did really like that one. It's like Gossip Girl, but set in Victorian times, and it's really well done. But this book, it's also set in high society, so it's set in Chicago and in 1871, so similar time period and everything. And it deals with a love triangle, which will be interesting because I have very mixed feelings about love triangles. I generally don't like them, but this is supposed to be an epic love triangle, one that literally made the world burn and changed the lives of 3 childhood friends forever. So this could either be something I won't like or something I will like. Oh, it's set in Chicago's infamous Great Fire. Interesting. I don't know how this is gonna go, but we'll see. Next is This Is Kind of an Epic Love Story by Karen Callender. So based on the back, it seems like this is going to be a meet cute, and then they become best friends, and then they realize that there's more there, but then they lose touch, and then they end up meeting again. So it's a story about Nathan and whether he can actually ever find his true love, because it seems to keep on slipping away from him. I feel like this is going to be a really short and easy, quick, fun, feel-good read, so when I'm in the mood for contemporary like that, I will probably pick this one up. And finally is A Winter's Promise by Christelle DeBose. This is translated from French, and a lot of French viewers have commented when I've mentioned this book that it is really good. I'm hoping it will be, just because I know the only other translation I've read I didn't really enjoy. So I'm hoping that the translator will do this justice and it will be as good as it is in French, because it sounds like a really intriguing story. I know someone said it reminded them of Wonderland, so that just is like, yes please to me. So once again, fingers crossed. So that is all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much to Chapters Indigo for sponsoring this video. Like I said, you can go to a store near you, or I will leave the link to shop the website down below. Please let me know if you have read any of these books, your thoughts on them, or if there are any on this list that you really want to get your hands on. Also, don't forget to join the Bookland family. I don't know what that is, I just made it up. I feel like there should be like a viewer name. I really like when people have names for their people. Not that you're my people, I don't know how to explain it. That's why I'm just saying Bookland family, but what I'm saying is don't forget to click that subscribe button and then click that little bell icon so you'll be notified whenever I post. I put up new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can also follow me on all of my social media. All of my handles, links, all that fun stuff will be down below for you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my